My name is Heemskerk and I'm a 3D artist from the Netherlands. I've always been interested in film and animation ever since I was a little kid. When I was young I used to make animations in Microsoft PowerPoint because I didn't know any professional animation software back then. When I was 50 years old I went to film school and after that I studied animation. Nowadays I've specialized myself in character animation, but I still like all the other parts almost as much as character animation. My project is about two squirrels who protect a tree from a lumberjack. I called my project Eikel, and Eikel is a Dutch word and it has two meanings in Dutch. It's a translation of the word acorn, and acorn, that's the little nut that they're shooting at the lumberjack in my animation. But it's also a mild swear word that you say to people that you don't like, or that doing something that you don't like. So I thought it was very fitting in the case of the squirrels. I came up with the idea when I was thinking about jobs or actions that had a repetitive motion, because for this challenge we had to animate something on a specific beat. We also had to move the camera, like we could choose to move the camera in a 90-degree turn. And this gave me the idea to reveal another perspective in my scene, because it's a really big turn, so you could use that to reveal another part, another perspective of your world. And my video is really about two perspectives. We have the squirrel perspective and the lumberjack perspective. It felt a bit like a sort of Tom and Jerry situation. I got that idea when I was thinking about that 90-degree turn. You could really reveal the perspectives of both the squirrels and the lumberjack. I used the first 5 days to come up with an idea. I always have the urge to start as fast as possible on a project, but I learned that it's good to take time to create a idea or create a story. So that's what I did for this project. And after those 5 days I started blocking out the scene in Blender, and I didn't really have any references at this point, because I just wanted to make all the necessary objects and do the overall vibe later on in the process. Blender wasn't the only software that I used for this challenge. I also used Marvelous Designer. I really like Marvelous Designer because it almost feels like you designing the 3D clothes in a way that also would happen in real life. So this gave me the idea to try a little bit of an experiment for this challenge. The clothes of the lumberjack came from pictures that I took from my real clothes. I wanted to try this because I saw that the patterns that Marvelous Designer use for their clothes are almost exactly the same as the patterns that real clothes would have. So I thought, what if I take some pictures of those clothes and try to put them as a texture onto the clothes in Marvelous Designer. And that turned out pretty well, and it was a really fun experiment to do. I always like to put a lot of personality into my work. For a lot of projects I always try to take things out of my own environment into my work. And this helps to keep the project feel grounded and real in some sort of way. And it also helps me to connect a bit better with the characters and the world that I'm creating. And I'm hoping that other people will feel that too. On the previous challenge I also used a 3D scan of my face, but this was just a still image that couldn't show any expressions. That wasn't a problem back then because you would only see the back of the character, but for this challenge I wanted to show the face to the audience. I wanted to show to let it show some expressions, so I couldn't get away with just a still image. Luckily I've got my new face rig from Rococo that's mainly used for capturing data from your face and link that data to character rigs. And I used that quite sometimes on more cartoony characters. But this time I wanted to try to make it kind of as real as possible. I wanted to preserve as much as expressions and face details as possible. So I thought it would be fun to just film my face with this rig and use that footage onto a 3D model. In the beginning I didn't exactly knew what I was doing. It was a little bit of an experiment. I also wanted to use this challenge to try to learn new things, so I thought it was a good opportunity. First I tried to film my face and put that footage as a texture on top of a basic 3D human model. It was not kind of the result that I wanted. It had a funny look, but it wasn't the look that I wanted to have for this video. It looked a little bit like a balloon with a face texture sticking on top of it. After that I tried a little bit of a different way to approach this. And then used a complete scan of my face, so I had all the details and measurements that my real face also had, and then I placed the texture of my face on top of that 3D scan, and that already looked a lot better. Still, I think it looks a little bit uncanny, but I don't think that's a bit of a big problem, because the whole video looks a bit uncanny. So it kind of matches the scene, but I still think it's a little bit too uncanny. But it was a really fun experiment to try, and I like the end results very much. For this project I wanted to focus a bit more on the small details. I also wanted to do this for the previous challenge, but everything went so fast there that you wouldn't even notice all these small details. But this time I wanted to try to focus a bit more on that part. I wanted to fill the inside of the tree with a lot of objects. This would help to give the squirrels a bit of believability and personality. I also wanted to use objects that make a little bit of sense. So for the table I used a matchbox. I used a tin can for the flower pot. These are objects that you would find next to a campfire in the woods. For the rug I used a napkin that you always see in Dutch pancake restaurants in the forest. So that also made a bit of sense. For the past few months I have a bit of an obsession for capturing real life details and bringing them into my 3D scene. I do this for example by making 3D scans or take pictures of things and put them as a texture into my scene. I wanted to do this for this project too, so I did that for the matchbox and for the napkin, for example. Fox also came from pictures that I took when I was on vacation, so that was fun to do, and it also helped a bit to bring a bit of reality to the scene. The animation of the lumberjack was kind of a challenge to do, because we had to animate our scene on a given beat, and this beat was 120 BPM, so that was quite fast. The lumberjack had to move his axe unnaturally fast. Luckily I'm a big fan of exaggerated animation, so I also exaggerated all the other animations in the scene, so the lumberjack would feel way more cohesive with the rest of the scene. But the lumberjack still felt a bit too robotic. It had to constantly hit that beat, so it had still a repetitive motion to it. So I broke that a little bit down. I gave some offset to some animations, and then it felt way more natural. But I noticed that it was a bit harder to feel the hit of the beat, and that was something that was required for this challenge. So to bring that back, I added a little bit of a flash, so a kind of a sunlight flash on top of the axe every time the beat hits. So that brought that beat that hit a little bit more back. Fox Renderfarm kind of saved me during this challenge, because I have a decent PC, but if I had to render it with my own computer it would have taken a lot of time, and I was also working on other projects, so I really needed all those hours that I could put into the challenge. So it was really nice to just work on the challenge till the very last moment, and then send all of it to Fox Renderfarm, knowing that I would receive all the renders in time to submit it before the deadline. That probably would a bit tricky and stressful if I had chosen to do it with my own PC. I think the first thing that your head registers is probably the colors or the lightings, I think. So that always has a big priority for me. I think the second thing that your head is noticing would be probably something like the animation and the motion. That also has a big priority for me to focus on. I think that story also plays a very important role when you make this kind of renders. And it can be very hard to make something that has a story, because it's most of the time it's only 4 seconds long or something like that. But a story can be very simple. It's always something that I try to add to my video, to add a story to it. And I always ask myself the question, what does the viewer know at the end of the video that they didn't know in the beginning of the video. Personality is also very important for me. I always try to put personal experiences into my work. Sometimes the backgrounds are based on locations that I visit a lot, or some things are based on childhood memories. I like to put those things into my work. Like a lot of characters or objects came from my own environment. I think that when you add those personality to your work will always feel unique, because everyone is different. So and that's what you also see in the challenges, that all those works are so different and you see so much different perspectives, and it's almost like traveling to somebody's mind every 4 seconds. That's also what I like about those challenges.